Join us as we take a run with some unique Western Star operators in the first volume of Western Star's Highway Heroes. Along the way, we'll catch up with some burly Tasmanian logging operators whose daily run takes them through rugged and brooding scenery. Then we head to arid northwest Queensland to catch up with a few road train operators who battle some of Mother Nature's harshest environments on the remote Wild West runs of the inland. We're joining Ryan Lette up the dusty track for a run in his 4800 Constellation Western Star. A thick blanket of fog hung lazily in the valley. Driver Ryan Lette sighed and wondered if the dust would settle and stick to his Western Star's Duco. It's early autumn in Northeast Tasmania, and in the run in the Western Star out of Launceston through rolling hills dotted with small farms and dairy cows, there's little hint of the rugged and brooding scenery that Tasmania is best known for. The first glimpses of that come shortly after the bitumen surrenders to the dirt road that's weaved its way through to the mountains to Mathina since the turn of the last century. This 4800 Western Star Constellation is one of 28 specialised logging trucks in Samjack's fleet. Samjack is a company that Noel Gerke and his wife Yvonne started some 2 decades ago with a single truck delivering sand and gravel. Their first entry into logging came in the early 90s when Noel swapped his tipper bodies for a traditional log jinker. 2 years later, they purchased another log truck, and then a short time after that, the growing fleet boasted 6 trucks. I thought it was a lot of trucks back then, Noel told us. Apart from running a traditional trucking business, Samjack are also vehicle manufacturers in their own right, designing and building their own trailers, known as the air logger. But more on that later. That's Ashley Johnson, topping up his trailer's wheel bearings with a dash of oil. Ashley's one of 3 brothers who operate the family-owned trucking business Johnson Brothers Transport, based in Tambo, Queensland, one of the oldest towns in the area. Later we're going to join Ashley and his 6900 Western Star Constellation, hauling a triple road train on a run to pick up 6 decks of cattle in the heart of Central Western Queensland. Meantime, there was a hubbub of activity around the yard, getting all the road trains connected and ready. That's Adrian, Ashley's brother, who'll be bringing his road train along as well. And that's Brendan, their other brother, toiling away in the workshop. While the trailers are being connected, we'll wind the clock back to when this big constellation was the star of the show. We're about to join Gangell's driver Paul West on a run from Bell Bay to Hobart to deliver approximately 28 tonne of fish food. We meet the Gangell 4800 Western Star at Bell Bay, a port and industrial district aside the Tema River, half an hour or so north of Launceston. That's Operations Manager David Gangell collecting the paperwork. It's here where driver Paul West will load approximately 28 tonnes of imported fish meal, bound for a plant in Hobart's southern suburbs, where it'll be processed and pelletised into food for salmon growing in huge circular ponds that dot the crystal clean waters of ocean inlets around Tasmania. At Charters Towers, an hour and a half west of Townsville, most of the town was still sleeping as Allister Roberts climbed into his 6900 Western Star and turned the key. A short time later he had it and his three-side tipper trailers heading northbound up the Lynd. This road north out of Charters Towers is commonly referred to as the Gregory Development Road, or Route 63. However, depending on which map you look at, it's sometimes referred to as the Lynd Highway or the Sir John McEwen Beef Road. Nevertheless, it has for a long time been a notorious route for both cars and trucks. It's also the route that Allister Roberts and his 6900 Western Star travels 6 days a week, but more on that later. The day before, Allister had just fitted a new set of drive tyres, and he stopped at the parking bay just on daybreak to check them and tension the wheel nuts. Then he walked around and checked the trailer's tyres.
Hopefully you don't find a flat one while you're walking around, eh?
We asked Allister what a set of drive tyres cost nowadays.
Well, base for $5 grand. And on this job, because we're doing our 10,000 k's a week, we wear them out in 10 weeks.
Really?
When you're pulling the weight all day, it doesn't take long to wear them out, unfortunately.
With the chores now completed, it was time to press on, as it'll take another few hours to reach the Surveyor mine, where Allister would load copper ore for the Mount Garnet processing plant further up the track.
The whole Ewan area has been logged since about 1880. Probably a little bit early, so you know, and we're still going strong. So it's just one. It's a very good industry to be in, I think. Anyway, you know, it's a very hard industry at times, but it's got a 580 Cummins engine, signature engine now, 2050 gearbox, road ranger 18-speed road ranger gearbox, 50,000 foot-pound of torque, 46 160 diction. And it's not a bad little truck, sort of ideally spec'd up for logging. These areas, like they'll leave a big bush standing like this, and another area they'll cut it out, start regrowing before they cut this one down, so they've got a mixture of not all, everything's just been flattened. We just come through a patch of regrowth in here. It's probably been 10 to 15 years old. Chivers made Ginger with an airbag suspension under it, and we're allowed 45.5 tonne payload all up, that's everything. Yeah, I get around about 31 tonne payload. So this is, you know, I'm pretty happy with what I've got now. It's pretty good setup all round. Yeah, just coming in, mate. Coming in around spur 3.
It's early one Sunday morning in late October, and Woodstock-based Mick Lenton has just said goodbye to his family for the week as he heads off on a run into Queensland's Wild West. Woodstock is a small rural community roughly 40 kilometres west of Townsville. Mick told us that Woodstock's the ideal place for his road train operation because he can haul a triple road train straight out of his driveway. It's also close enough to Townsville that he can split the road train and run in with single trailers to load and unload. Tonight, Mick was hoping to make Julia Creek roughly 600 kilometres to the west. However, not too far up the road is the climb up the infamous Mingala Range, a decent pull by anyone's measure. It's a long drag even with the biggest engines. At the top of the range is the turn-off to the mining town of Ravenswood. Originally there was a rail link to Ravenswood, and back then Mingala was known as Ravenswood Junction. Nowadays, however, it's a scattering of houses and lonely pub perched to the top of the escarpment. The 600 horsepower Cummins under the hood works hard pulling the 3 loaded trailers up the steep grade. Meantime, the cars and utes make good use of the additional passing lane before it reverts back to a single lane at the top of the range.